Hi, my name is Dr Holly Greenwood. I am a lecturer in law based within the School of Law and Politics at Cardiff University, and I also assist the director of the Cardiff University Innocence Project. And this is a video abstract for my article, Rethinking Innocence Projects in England and Wales, Lessons for the Future. So just by way of context, an innocence project in England and Wales typically refers to a university-based clinic, often within a law school, where students will, under academic supervision, assist in the investigation of a potential miscarriage of justice, with the aim of identifying any viable grounds for appeal. Alongside this casework aim, innocence projects also look to educate students about the problems surrounding wrongful conviction and to contribute to criminal justice research and criminal justice reform. So there are two central purposes to the article, and the first is to really look at the Innocence Project movement in England and Wales. Here it will contend that we should understand innocence projects as having undergone a rise and fall, and will examine the reasons behind this. The second main purpose of the article is, in light of this, to consider to what extent surviving projects and other similar clinics may be able to play a valuable role in assisting and responding to potential miscarriages of justice. So I'm just going to discuss each of these aims in a bit more depth. So the first aim in looking at the Innocence Project movement in England and Wales, as I said, here it's contended that we should understand innocence projects as having undergone a rise and fall. So we first saw innocence projects emerge in around 2004. In 2004, Dr Michael Norton at the University of Bristol established the Innocence Network UK as a membership organisation, which looked to facilitate the development of innocence projects across the UK. And during its operational period between 2004 and 2014, the Innocence Network UK assisted in the development of 36 innocence projects across the UK, with all but one of these being based within a university. And so therefore we did see a rapid rise and spread of innocence projects across the UK. However, despite innocence projects seeming to have a sort of solid basis, it's argued that 2014 marked a turning point. It was in 2014 that Dr Michael Norton announced that the Innocence Network UK would fold as a membership organisation. And since then, innocence projects appear to have been in continuing decline. Alongside this, innocence projects have also been deemed to, or there appears to be a perceived lack of success of such projects in achieving their aims. So in relation to both criminal justice casework and also reform. So as of 2021, innocence projects have only been involved in the overturning of 2 convictions. So to examine the reasons behind the rise and fall of innocence projects, the article will look at original empirical research that was carried out between 2013 and 2015. And this was my doctoral research, which involved interviews with 16 innocence project leaders drawn from 13 projects. And although the data goes back a bit now, it's crucial in trying to understand what happened to innocence projects during this critical period, where we still saw numerous innocence projects in existence, and we saw the Innocence Network UK begin to unravel. So, based on the interviews and analysing the data, it's argued that we should understand the fall of innocence projects as having resulted from the amalgamation of internal tensions, both within the Innocence Network UK as a membership organisation, but also within the Innocence Project model itself. And here, interview data with participants is analysed to demonstrate difficulties and challenges they faced with interacting within the network, within trying to pursue cases through the criminal appeal system, and in trying to operate an Innocence project within the university context, and some inherent tensions around reconciling this role with other aspects of their job. So the article contends that internal tensions within the Innocence Project movement are fundamental to understanding the decline of Innocence projects and, to a certain extent, why they were not successful in achieving their aims. However, it's also argued that this cannot go the full way in explaining why Innocence projects did not have more success in casework and those cases that they did manage to pursue. And here it's argued that we need to look at the role of Innocence projects within the context of an increasingly restrictive criminal appeal system. And here the article draws on recent arguments and evidence to suggest that perhaps the criminal appeal system in England and Wales is particularly restrictive and may not be responding to the needs of all miscarriages of justice. And therefore, in this context, perhaps it's not surprising that Innocence projects have not had more success in overturning convictions. In reflecting on the Innocence Project movement, the article will then conclude this first part by thinking about why Innocence projects in England and Wales were unsuccessful in initiating a broader innocence movement. And here comparison will be drawn with the United States, where Innocence projects there have had huge success in overturning hundreds of convictions and in being instrumental to criminal justice reform, to the extent that they're often described as having created a national innocence movement. So some of the comparisons that may be drawn there are examined to understand why we may not have seen the same level of success in England and Wales. So following this, the article then moves on to consider its second main purpose, which is to think about how surviving Innocence projects and other clinics may play a valuable role in assisting potential victims of miscarriages of justice. And here the article looks at the current criminal justice context and numerous cuts to legal aid, which have made it very difficult for prospective appellants to get help in challenging their conviction. And in light of this, it questions whether Innocence projects or other similar clinics may be able to play a valuable role. And here it will engage with criticisms of Innocence projects and think about how they may respond to those and overcome previous tensions that have been highlighted in the paper to play an important role in assisting potential victims of miscarriages of justice. And then finally, the article will conclude by considering whether we need to redefine the way we're measuring the success of Innocence projects in England and Wales. Focusing only on the number of convictions that Innocence projects have overturned overlooks the other potential benefits that they may have in providing day-to-day assistance to their clients, but also in terms of education and reform. And therefore, it's argued that given the challenges which the criminal justice system is currently facing, perhaps Innocence projects can provide valuable support to prospective appellants that are unable to get assistance elsewhere, and that furthermore, they also have an important potential to generate concern for miscarriages of justice amongst a new generation, and that this may be fundamental to securing the change that we need in the future. So that's an overview of the article and what it discusses. So thank you very much for listening.